Hello people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. And a question I always get asked, Zims, I don't understand how to play Football Manager. I don't even know how to start a save. Well, today I'm gonna be helping those people out. This right here is the ultimate guide to starting your Football Manager saves. And you know what? I'm sure a lot of people are gonna learn a few things as well. So even if you do play Football Manager, this might be a video you wanna check into. But let's stop wasting time and let's get straight into this video. No time to be wasted. Right, so we head over to Football Manager, and guys, first and foremost, yes, I have a skin. So some of you guys will think, why does your display look different to mine? It is called a skin. Let me show you guys how you're gonna get your skin first and foremost. So in order to get your skin, you need to go over to my Twitch and you need to type in !skin. It will pop up with a link for the skin and a tutorial explaining how you're gonna get the skin. I wanna make sure that I'm not wasting everyone's time, so if you need the skin, then go over to that tutorial or go over to that link and download it and sort yourselves out. Anyways, now you get over into your Football Manager 24, and what we're gonna do simply is hit start game. Now we're gonna go to career, and this is another thing. There's so much updates and so many mods you can get. So currently I do have a mod right here that gives me the updated transfers. So the transfers are updated in real time. I did drop a YouTube video on that. So if you want to get this updated transfers, then make sure you're pausing the video and going over to this video right here to get your updated transfers. But for the sake of the video, I will not be using the updated transfers. I'll just be using the bog standard Football Manager. So I'll remove all and confirm, and your Football Manager, if you're not using updated transfers or whatever transfers or database you're using, will just look like this. You will begin to see all the teams. And yes, I do have the logos again. Once again, another thing you could download. There's a lot of downloads on Football Manager. So if you want the skin and you want the logos, once again, you go over to my Twitch, you type in !logos, and that will give you a tutorial directing you straight to my YouTube on how you are going to get the FN24 real club logos. I have tutorials for everything. Yes, I know. But the amount of people that actually ask me how I do this and how I do that, I just decided to make it an actual command in my streams to make it easier for everyone. Right, once you've done that, you've downloaded everything, obviously come back to the video, and here we are. Right, all we're gonna do simply is start, we're gonna start with Manchester United, for example, as that's the team I support. At the moment, it's just not been good enough, man. Listen, it's not been great. However, we did knock Arsenal out of the FA Cup, so listen, I'll take that, mate. Sorry, back to Football Manager. Sorry, guys. We go over. We're gonna start with Manchester United. We're gonna choose game mode, and that will be it. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do advanced setup. You can go with a quick start, but we are going to do an advanced setup. Now, I'm gonna explain to you guys why I'm doing advanced setup. There are a load of wonder kids in Football Manager, guys. A ridiculous amount of wonder kids. So there are some wonder kids that will pop up if you do a quick start, and there are some that will not. A lot of people always ask, how come I can't find this player in my save? It's because you have not set up with an advanced setup and made sure that wonder kids and other players in different leagues and stuff are available. So this is exactly how I do it. First and foremost, depending on obviously how good your PC is, you might want to do this. So what I do is I only load the league I am playing. Some people like to go over to other leagues and have a look at who's winning, look at the table and stuff like that. Personally, I do not care because I'm not leaving the team I'm at. When I do a save, I usually only do one team, stay at that team, and try win everything that team. If you're planning on doing like a journeyman, then you might want to have leagues loaded, or you might want to add the league after once the game's already started. So that just depends on you. But depending on your PC, like I'm saying, you can leave leagues loaded. I have a decent I have a good PC actually. So I can leave leagues playable, but if your PC is not that great, I would recommend removing everything and just going with a one team save. Right, once you've done that, we're gonna go over to this bit right here, approximate player count. we'll do a drop down and we'll hit advanced. Now, I wanna make sure you guys are clicking these options. You wanna make sure you do large database, and you wanna make sure you have all the continents added, or remove any if you do not care, but make sure you click current international players, players from top division clubs, players from top clubs, players with continental reputation, players with national reputation, and players from clubs with continental competitions. Do that for every single one, and this should help you find most Wonder Kids. Obviously, if you wanted to go overboard, then you could add this in, but personally, I am not doing that, because as you've just seen, once we click Asia once, that has literally added 40,000 players, and if we do the same thing over here, that has added another 8,000 players. So you could do that, but it might be a bit of an overload, depending on how good your PC is. Usually with this, I find most of the good Wonder Kids I need, so I just go with that. Anyways, we hit OK, and it will start loading, and literally that. Now you wanna go to your game start date, guys. England. Personally, I need a pre-season. I like to have a pre-season so I'm actually able to help my team to learn the tactic I want to play. So I would recommend, especially starting off, go with early and get your pre-season in. Do not, just go early and get a pre-season, man. You would love to have a pre-season, right? Anyways, make sure your original game mode is original, and that will be it. Now, what you can see with your advanced options in the bottom, and this all depends what you want to do. As you can see, you can use fake players or staff. I do not get that option. I do not use real fixtures. I do not add key staff. We're leaving that off. Add players to playable teams. We're leaving that off. Disable first transfer window. So if you're doing a save where you don't want to sign anyone in the first transfer window, then you can do that. But obviously in January in England, you will then be able to sign players. Right, and then we go here, disable player attribute and mask. So if you've seen Football Manager before, I would say make sure you do not click this option. I would say leave it off for now. In another save, you might want to disable it. Then you would have to actually scout a player to be able to see their attributes and how good they really are. And yeah, that's it. Let's go straight over to start game, and we'll start the game and get straight into it, setting up the game database, and we'll load it up. And I'll fast forward to save you guys the time of this computer doing what it needs to do. So be right back. See you guys once the game started. Right, now you're at this point where you need to create your manager. So I'm gonna take you guys through this. We're gonna go to a new profile. Honestly, all this stuff doesn't really matter in terms of names. So we'll just go with Zims, then surname we'll just go with Muller, and then gender we'll go with male. Nationality we'll keep it English. Date of birth, I don't really care about that. Favorite team, obviously I support Man United, so, and I'm managing them, so I may as well put Man United in there, and that is that. Now the experience level obviously depends on what you need to do. So what you would say is, if you haven't done nothing before, then what you can do is your experience level, teach me about key management concepts. Right, moving on, sort out your body however you want your body to look. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Then you sort out your head, and this is how you can generate your own. So you can load in your own picture, highlight your face attributes, and then you'll be able to load in a face of yourself, and it'll kind of look like you. So you might want to do that, but I'm not doing this for the video. Attire, change the drip. Want your player to look drippy, put on a little tracksuit, or you can go to Arsene Wenger, long man jacket. Ability aids, hearing aids, and all of that stuff, eye patch and stuff, and accessories, and that is it. Now we move over to managerial style. If you're going through everything, you can just check exactly what it says for you. Personally, I don't think it matters too tough, but if you want to change it how it makes sense for you. One thing I definitely say get the hell off there is goalkeeping, because who cares about goalkeepers, if I'm being honest with you. I want my attacking to be good, I want my defending to be good. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And I also want my tactical to be good. So I'm just gonna go with that and just leave the rest and move. Wait, hold on. What I will do is actually change youngster knowledge and then put the rest on determination, because high determination is something that works well on FM. Anyways, we move over to confirm, and that is it. You've set up your first save. Yay, people, it's done. Finally, we are ready to go. If I'm being honest with you guys, there's still a lot more to go. So listen, just bear with me. If you've got a phone, put me on your phone or put me on your tablet or whatever. have your laptop on the side, or if you got 2 screens set up, have me over there and have your game over here, and let's get ready to rumble, guys. Back into Football Manager, as you can see, Manchester United have hired Zims Müller. And this will be it. Now we go to next, and we can see all this information about Manchester United, the current transfer budget, the wage budget, the financial status, how many people can fit into Old Trafford, fiercest rivals, and all of that, and all of that, and all of that, and all of that, all of that, and your media prediction. So once you've done with that, then all you're gonna do is hit next. Now we see our best 11 according to our assistant manager, guys. So do remember that. It shows your best 11 according to your assistant manager. So you may not agree with this, but just know it's according to your assistant manager. So depending on how good your assistant manager is as well, that will determine on what he says your best 11 is. Right, we move on to next, and we can see basically what the chairman wants from us, or the chairperson wants from us. So we can see the club culture. We can see it says sign players under 23 for the first team, sign players under 23 for the future. And it says the preference level here. Obviously, the ones with the higher preference level means you need to do that. Otherwise, you may be sacked for doing that. But if you're winning, usually it doesn't actually matter what all this says. As long as you're picking up the trophies, they're probably not going to get rid of you because you're winning stuff. So just remember that as well, guys. Right, move over to next. As you can see, there's still more information about what they want us to do. It tells us exactly what our supporters are saying now. So this is actually a supporter screen. It says the supporters want us to play entertaining football, all of that stuff and all that stuff. And once again, if you're winning, supporters ain't really gonna care, are they? Do you know what I mean? We move over to next, and now it tells us all the inductions in the schedule, guys. So these will come, as it says, in 2 days time, 3 days time, scheduled for tomorrow, scheduled for 8 days, and blah, 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 blah. However, if it's your first time playing Football Manager, send it all today. Let's get everything out the way. Let me show you guys everything you need to know. This is gonna be the complete guide. Move over to next, and we can see it says schedule a meeting to meet the press, or meet the media. Honestly, for however long, press conferences don't actually mean anything. It's very repetitive once you've kind of played it over and over again. Listen, for immersion purposes, you might want to do the press conferences because it'll be fun, it's funny sometimes, but honestly, it doesn't mean a lot. So it just depends on what you want to do. Me personally, I am not doing that, but I would recommend doing it for your first time just to have the experience. Then arrange an intra-squad friendly to assess the squad when possible. You may as well do that just to see how good your players are. Or if you know your team and you don't really want to do that, just hit no. And then arrange a meeting with the backroom staff. Honestly, this is a thing that I hate doing because I'm going to go through everything anyway in my save. So I do not need my backroom staff telling me about things that I've probably already thought about. So I'm going to do this every month. But like I'm saying, if you just started off your Football Manager career, then what I would say is go with it every week or every fortnight. You are able to change it if it's getting annoying. Right, and we hit confirm. That is it, guys. Right, we go over to save game, and I'm just gonna save the game as Zims Tutorial. Can I spell tutorial? No, I can't. Tutorial, there you go. And we hit the save button, and that will be it. We are ready to go. As you can see, everything has been hit with our inbox. We have a lot of stuff to go through. Do not worry, guys. Breathe, breathe, breathe. It's okay. I'm here to take you through the journey. Right, one thing I can tell you, can hit next in the top right with a right click, or you can press the space bar to save yourself time. So if you see me doing that and you can hear the noise, it's because I've pressed the space bar and it's gonna move me to the next thing in my inbox. So as you can see here, we now have a contract and they're telling us to accept the current club vision. You can negotiate it if you want to say, oh, I don't want to use this, I don't want to use that. So if you hit negotiate, you can remove things by left clicking it. Certain things are unable to be removed, as you can see. But yeah, I don't care. So I'm just going to hit confirm and we'll move over to next. Spacebar again, like I'm saying, it's all about the spacebar, guys. Now you can obviously speak to your board. Your board currently at Manchester United, they want me to qualify for Europa League through the league, meaning finishing in top 6. Emirates FA Cup, what we're gonna do here and then Champions League, what we're gonna do there. And as you can see, it has a level of importance again. So just know if you do not reach what you are saying, then understand, guys, that you can be sacked. So just remember that. Make sure you are being realistic with it. Me personally, I prefer to go with the overachievement route. So I would go with the minimum and then overachieve and I'll be happy. It's up to you though. But when you do click different options, you do receive more transfer budget at times. As you've seen, if I click semi-final, we get 0.1 more. If I click final, we get 0.3 more. So not a lot of money, but it does make a difference. So it's up to you. Or you can just click do not be judged, and yeah, that'll be it. And you can just hit finish, and we'll see if the board accept that or not. Right, next, it will show us our important players, the players in our squad, or the players in our squad on our last contract, the last year of their contract. So you can go through this. If you want to hit offer contract, then it will take you to the offer contract screen. So as you can see, Raphael Varane, the scouting team are telling us he's an important player. He is a very important player. So what I will do is offer him a new contract. Now it'll take me to this screen where I start to offer players contracts. So you can obviously go next, and it will literally explain everything you need to do, guys. As you can see here, important player role, regular starter, whatever. So you need to make sure you are doing this, because usually players do get annoyed with you if you lie to them. So don't lie to them unless you're gonna win, and winning covers everything in Football Manager, guys. Let me tell you that for free. If you are winning, players will end up not caring about their certain playing time and all of this. Sometimes even when you're winning, they will care. So when you're signing players, don't always sign players that want to be star players, important players. You're going to need to try and factor in all of these things. So we'll go over to important player, and yeah, we'll just agree because it's Raphael Varane. I don't mind that. And then we can go through this. And as you can see right here, saying he wants 325k a week. It's not my money, so mate, have that. However, remember, this does affect the wage budget. As you can see right here, the wage budget is here. The club is currently spending this much, and this is how much we have left. So we've got some decent money to make it happen. I don't care about this save. So Raphael Varane, enjoy your money, mate. Right, move over to there, and we can see Martial's another one. So Martial, it says the difference, has the ability to be part of the squad and has a 1-year extension clause, meaning I can just go here and I can trigger his extension, meaning he'll get 1 more year on there. I think Varane had the same thing, so I could have done it with Varane. But yeah, anyways, we move over to the tactics page. Now this is a tactics thing where a lot of you guys don't understand what is going on in terms of the tactics page. Recommended, download a tactic for your first tactic to understand the game a bit better, because it makes it more fun when you are winning. But if you want to go with the grind, if you want to go with the goal where it really hurts and you want to get into the game and be your own manager, then what you're going to do is you're going to hit create tactic, and it's going to take us right here. Now, what I always recommend people doing, especially when they first start the game, is looking at what your system manager says, the preferred style of play or something that suits your team. So where you see these thumbs up is literally telling you what your system manager believes. As you can see, Stephen O'Carron believes this style to be well suited to the players in the squad. So all the thumbs up there literally tell you the exact same thing. So maybe in your head, you've already got a formation. So what you might want to do is click this. And as you can see, if you go to choose formation, it has another thumbs up, which tells you the exact same thing. So if you want to use a 4-3-3, then maybe you want to go with a more controlled possession style. But if you want to use a gegenpress, choose formation, and as you can see this time, it has a thumbs up on a 4-2-3-1. Then we go to vertical tiki-taka, and once again, it has a 4-2-3-1 with the thumbs up. So it just depends what you want to do. If you don't care about what your system's talking about, then go get crazy with it. Go have a field day with all of these different tactical styles. But we're going to listen to the system manager, and we're going to go over vertical tiki-tiki. And we'll go over 4-2-3-1, as I think that suits Man United. So when we're going over to here in our tactic screen, guys, once you've got our tactic, what you can do is go to the drop-down menu. And in order to see what your system basically says your best team is, you can go to pick without restriction, and you go to pick best 11, meaning it will pick your best 11 players. But yeah, this player's obviously not available and leaving on a free transfer. So yeah, we'll get him out of there. and we will pick someone else that we think's obviously good, like Amad Diallo, Anthony, but Amad Diallo's injured at the moment, so we'll go with Anthony. And as you can see, this is basically what our system manager believes our best current team is, and this is what the team is looking like. Now, these green lines mean the players have a strong partnership. As you can see, Luke Shaw and Marcus Rashford have a strong partnership and play well together in their selected roles. So as an inverted wing back and a wing back. But in other roles, they might have the same thing. So if you check that, as a wing back, they still have the exact same thing too. Same with the center backs, and that is all it means. If you see dotted lines, then dotted lines mean, so dotted orange lines means the players do not actually have a good partnership and may struggle in game. So it just depends on what you want to do and how you want to maneuver this. Now, when you're in your tactics screen, if you want to change certain player roles and stuff like that, then you can obviously click the drop down and then have a look at all these different player roles and different types of players. And guys, it will feel like you have no idea what half of these mean, but honestly guys, read the description at the bottom, and this goes for almost everything on Football Manager. Read the description, because the description explains a lot of what it's trying to say. It is down to interpretation as well, but like I'm saying, it will help you a lot more than saying, what the hell am I doing? I have no idea what's going on. Read the description, try and understand it, and just try different roles. That way you can kind of see what the role is in game. Anyways, I would recommend leaving it at first, going based off the base formation that the game has given you, based on what your system manager says your team is good at doing, and just get into the game. Right, once you've done that, one thing we need to do is head over back to our inbox over here. We can just hit the space bar once again, and it will take us back to our inbox over here. Now, pre-season preparation, you can obviously start arranging more friendlies, so you can click arrange friendly, and you can start to arrange more friendlies. I do love doing a lot of friendlies. We can see our current game, or our first game of the Premier League season, is here against Liverpool on the 12th of August. So currently we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 friendlies already there. So if you want to, you can add more. I like doing a lot of friendlies so I can rotate my team, try different tactics, try different players, and hopefully my players learn my tactic faster. So personally, I'm doing like 8 friendlies, 9 friendlies. So what you do is go to the drop down menu, friendly match, multiple friendlies, and then you can click the dates you want. So we're gonna remove this one. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's a friendly. 1 here, then 2 on this week, 2 in this week, 2 in this week, 2 in this week, and then a week off, and then we start the Premier League season. And then you can just decide to choose what type of teams you actually want to play against. I go with smaller reputation teams because they're usually going to get absolutely smashed, and hopefully that makes my players more confident in the tactic. That is just my thinking. It's probably not even true, but I'm going to carry on doing it. If you want to do that, do that. If you want to go test your team against better teams, then knock yourself out. So then literally we're just going to go through that and just put different teams in there and so forth and so forth. But you might want to obviously do some bigger teams throughout the season, or sorry, throughout the pre-season. But we already had some set in with like Bayern Munich, Lens, and Atletico Madrid. So I think that's fine enough. Once again, continue guys. And that moves over to our injury update that shows us how long all our players are injured for. As you can see, Amad Diallo is injured for 5-6 months, blah, 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 Malacia 8 to 9 months, and all of that and all of that. So we do know that now. Next, this tells us now about our Premier League squad rules and our Champions League squad rules. As you can see, it says you need to make sure you have players in England that have played for 3 years before their 21st birthday. So make sure you're not selling all your homegrown players. Make sure you know how many you've got. There's 53 at the club and 9 in the squad. So you might have to register some under 21, some under 18s just to make this happen, depending on where you are in your save and what type of team you have. Moving on. Spacebar again tells us about the transfer window and what's been going on. Obviously, these are the transfers that happened at the time of the start of FM24. Next, scouting induction. Right, and if you want my scouting tutorial, I have a YouTube video that explains my scouting. Go over to my YouTube, or once again, guys, go over to my Twitch and type !scouting, bang, full guide on how to scout on Football Manager. Make sure you watch the video to understand, guys. So this is how I scout for Wonder Kids on Football Manager. Obviously, if you want other players, then you will tweak it however you need to tweak it. Now, once you've done that, you can do whatever you want to do. You can take the scouting induction. The scouting induction will actually show you and explain what the scouting looks like and all of that. As you can see, just read it, guys. Don't rush. Take your time. Read what it says. Hit the space bar. It explains everything. The recruitment focuses your scouting team are working on are shown here. At any time, you can direct the recruitment focuses by creating a new recruitment focuses. So forth. Create a new one, as you can see here. Then you get into this screen, which shows you what you want to put in, what type of formation, what type of player roles you're looking for, transfers, loan, transfer and loan, ages, current ability, potential ability, the areas you want to search, top priority standard, keep it ongoing, meaning they're always going to be looking for these players you're looking for, assign a scout and assign an analysis, and so forth. And then you're going to see loads of different players in range. So this right here this is the club's database of players. You can search through this database to identify specific players to sign or scout. So if you want to go through players, you just go to players and scouting. And then depending on where you are, what save you're doing, your scouting package. So this is a world package. There is Europe. There is, obviously if you're in Asia, there'll be Asia. There'll be national, so only be looking at the country you're in, and so forth and so forth and so forth. Now you can do this. What I would recommend at this point right here, I would say the scouting meetings you handle and assigning scouts to scout and go to scout specific areas, I would leave that to the backroom staff to deal with. So I'll just hit finish there. Move on to transfer induction. Once again, you can take the induction, guys, which will help you tremendously. Just makes you sit there and actually read it. Hit the induction and boom, it's gonna tell us again how to deal with transfers. So it's obviously gonna tell us our transfer fee, the date, gonna tell us the transfer budget and the wage budget and all of that. Any additional fees you wanna add to it, and then make offer, suggest terms and see what they're saying. Once again, what I would say, find and sign young players for the future. You can do this yourself, or you can leave this to your backroom staff to do, which might make it a bit more easier for you, for them to actually find young players that might be good, but it would also still depend on how good your staff are. So you might want to handle this yourself until the future, where you can change it by going to responsibilities. Well, going over to staff, skip that for now. Once again here, finish, and you can go to responsibilities, overview, and then you can go through all of this and you can decide what you want to do. So scouting, bam, you can go over to transfers and you can go down here and you would look for sign young players for the future. You can delegate it to John Murto to do, or you can take control, or you can delegate it and do the drop down menu and decide who you want to do it based off their attributes. Right, we go back over to inbox. Training induction. Now, training's one that a lot of people don't understand. Personally, I'm one of you guys. I do not understand it either. However, what I do for training, training is, very simply, I train the tactic I'm going to be using. As you can see here, it tells you once again, so just read it once again. It will tell you exactly what your training schedule will be looking like week by week. Monday to Friday, it will tell you your intensity levels at the bottom as well. And it will tell you a whole load of other stuff like individual trainings you're setting on each individual player, which is a good thing to do as well. And yes, it will tell you, you can actually set, depending on everyone's intensity, depending on everyone's morale, and depending on everyone's fatigue, you can decide what they do in training. So if they're very tired, then obviously no pitch work or gym work. If they're quite tired, half intensity. If they're mid-level, normal intensity. If they're slightly more than that, normal intensity. And if they're full, then normal intensity, or you can hit double intensity and all of that stuff. Then you can go over to your coaches and you can assign what coach does exactly what. But it's just up to you if you want to do that or not. You can actually leave that to your staff to do as well. Once you can see, you can leave your backroom staff to decide exactly what they do in training. So you don't even have to think about training, which might be easier for you, so you can just focus on the game. Maybe later on in your save, you might want to dive into that. But for now, you might just want to assign it to your backroom staff to deal with, so you don't even have to look at it. And that really is it. Then we move on to squad dynamics. Once again, take the induction, guys. I know you want to get straight into playing the game, but if it's your first time, just take the induction. Here we are with this, and we can go through this once again, and this will explain everything you need to do. It's all about your team cohesion. will tell you about your club atmosphere at the moment and how many players are really supporting you. Then you can obviously look at your hierarchy. It will tell you your team leaders in the team. So probably the people you do not really want to be upsetting. Otherwise, some other players that are lower in the hierarchy will be annoyed at you as well because they're their team leader and one of their favorites. And then you can look at your core groups, obviously your core social group, then your secondary group, and then your secondary B group. And then obviously you can do dynamics and actually have team meetings to improve your team cohesion and the club atmosphere. So we can just hit that. And then on behalf of the team, I would like to welcome you and look forward to playing under your management. Thank you, Bruno Fernandes. I look forward to helping you hopefully win some trophies, mate. And you can go through this and tell them about your expectations. However, if you want to keep it simple and keep everyone positive, as you can see, everyone at the moment is encouraged, slightly positive. Everyone seems fine. The atmosphere looks good. I'm not going to play around with it because usually if you play around with it, you can go downhill very quickly. So I'm just going to hit with, I have nothing else to talk to you about. Thank you again. Thank you very much. Spacebar once again, guys. And we can see the morale between all of our players at the moment. So some players are obviously don't have high morale at the moment. Some players are just fuming with life. They're not happy. Some players, I mean, not one person's very, very happy. Some people are just encouraged and look okay. So yeah, we'll leave the meeting and move over. Spacebar again. Medical center, take the induction and it'll tell you about all your players and how susceptible they are to injuries, the overall risk about how much games they're playing at the moment, how tired they are. It'll show you all the injuries you have at the moment. We can go through this again, risk assessment, looking at that. And then stuff from obviously your medical team, telling you how good your team really are. And then we take the squad induction and this will just show us once again how to look at our squad stuff and looking at our positions, obviously the players' positions. So we'll know exactly who's in what role, if they're on the bench, if they're on the subs bench and all that stuff. Then we can see what's going on with them at the moment. So key information we might want to be looking at. It usually is abbreviated. So for example, this HOL stands for holiday. This LST, sorry, stands for listed. So he's been transfer listed or loan listed. I think it's transfer listed. Loan listed, I believe, is LOA. But then INJ with orange right here means they are injured at the moment or slightly injured. A red one injured would mean they are injured for a while as well. Then obviously you can see all the players' names that we can click and have a look through. Then we can see all the positions they can kind of play, their condition at the moment, their sharpness, so how sharp they are at the moment, their morale in terms of how happy they are at the club, their last 5 games, how they've been in terms of like form rating, like an average rating, the appearances they had this season, goals, assists, and then the average rating across the whole season. And that is it. And then you can go to the selection info and have a look through all of this. So if you want to look at homegrown status, full player status, if you want to look at their playing time, what you've promised them basically, what you've promised them for future playing time, the dynamics, their injuries, everything, you can go through this in this page. Then you can also go to the filter down here and you can actually look through squads, the positions, if you want to look at only your goalkeepers, only your defenders, or whatever, what sides they play on, and you can actually hide players who are out on loan, players who are unavailable, players who are not at the club, players who are not homegrown, so you can see how many players you actually have homegrown at your club and the best ones, and then that's really it. Then we move over to backroom induction, that's fine. Now we go to set piece induction. Right, you can keep this very simple with your set piece. And you can just go with my downloaded set piece tactic. It's up to you. If you want that again, you know exactly what you need to do. You go over to my Twitch and you type in !set pieces. And that will give you, this is a full guide on how to create the best set pieces in Football Manager. Obviously the best in my opinion. If you want to download it, download it. If you don't want to, it's up to you guys. Right. But for this, obviously, we're just going to click anything because we do not care. But you can take your time and go through that. It does explain exactly what it is. Then once you're through here, it does then again give you some more info on this. However, once again, if you don't want to do this yourself, then you can actually go to here and handle team set piece tactics. You can delegate it once again, and you can just delegate it to your set piece coach that we do not currently have at Manchester United. But if you wanted to, you could sign one and just let your set piece coach deal with it, like Arteta does with Nicolas Jova, who's always on the touchline. doing some wizardry and stuff like this. Anyways, we're just gonna leave it as us and then just continue doing what we are doing. Now we go back to inbox. I've declined to meet the press. Now we're gonna look at the development center, and this is more focused on our young talent. Good youth development is key to make sure you have the best talent available to you. So bang, we're gonna go over to here, overview, development center, all of that stuff. It's gonna tell us how many players we have on loan, how good our under 21s team, under 18s, all of that. Current first team candidates, so players who are under 21s, under 18s, that are potentially good enough to play in our first team by the recommendation of the team, as always, the backroom staff. So depending on how good your backroom staff is dependent on what they recommend the players that can actually go forward into playing your team. Needs attention, none of that. Ones to watch, so players that we should be looking at, obviously, and how they're progressing. They're all here listed. And then, yeah, we just go through that quickly. And it will tell us players who are out on loan, so we can look at our loan army, we can look at our players out on loan at the moment and how they're performing in terms of appearances, assists, goals, and their average rating at the moment. So yeah, we can just go through that. And then yeah, but we can also leave this to the backroom staff to deal with. So players who are going out to be developed on loan, we can leave this to our backroom staff to handle it because we don't really want to do that. We want you guys to essentially do that. But the only thing is, they might loan a player that you actually want to keep at the club. So once again, you might not want to do that. You might want to offer them out on loan yourself. Right, and that is most of the boring part, people. You're finally going to get to start playing FM, getting into the game. I'm going to show you guys my settings in the game as well. So you guys, because a lot of you guys want to have your FM looking exactly like mine, especially if you are on my Twitch where you see my content. So we hit inbox, takes us up there, and some of these teams have accepted our friendlies, the other ones, the extra ones we added, and then boom, now we have our monthly staff meeting. You guys know I said already, I do not enjoy these meetings because I honestly don't care, but for the purpose of this video, we will be attending a meeting. So attend the meeting, and here we are, we see it says suitable vice captain, basically telling us Marcus Rashford should be a vice captain. In real life, this would not make sense, as in real life, he told Ruben Amorim that he's ready for a new challenge and currently on loan to Aston Villa. But for the purpose of this video, I don't care. Marcus Rashford, have that mate. Mank, born and bred. You know what I mean? Accept that. Now we're saying players who might need to start a specific type of individual training. So we can see that Johnny Evans, has slight struggles with his first touch, dribbling, and technique. So you might want to get him on this individual training here. It's up to you whether you want to do that or not. If you want to put him on a different type of individual training, then you obviously click Johnny Evans, go to development training, and then you can go to additional focus and decide which one you want to put him yourself. But I mean, at the age of 35 years old, I don't think Johnny Evans needs any more training, man. I just think he needs to flip and stay fit so he can play. So yeah, I'm going to leave that. I'm just going to hit move on. Then we can see coaching assignments to add. Obviously, it's saying basically this coach is better at handling a specific thing. So in order to make the balance of the coaching team better, let him handle this. So we're just going to assign that. Then we can see Casemiro does not know English. So if you want to teach him more English or better English than he currently has, then we can send him on a 26-week intensive course to learn English, as he only has a basic grasp of the language. I'm not too sure if that's real. I'm not sure if that's real, if I'm being honest, but who knows, maybe it's true. Send him on that so he can obviously learn English so he can actually speak with his team. It's something that you need to also consider when signing players, because if they can already speak English, it will be much easier for them to be integrated into the squad. Whereas if they can't, then they're gonna have to learn the language, then probably find friends and all of this stuff in the squad. Right, moving on, as we can see, the players with high potential obviously shows us all these players here, like Rasmus Højlund, saying he's developing well and could become a key player, maybe even better than Marcus Rashford, as Rashford can play up front, so it compares them to a player in their position. We can see Jadon Sancho. We can see that he has potential to become a key player for this club, perhaps slightly surpassing the ability of our best left winger, Marcus Rashford. Obviously, he's out on loan to Borussia Dortmund, like he done in real life. So yeah, you can go through that, and it's just letting you know that information. So it is a decent thing to have, but obviously, if you're on top of everything, once you get into the flow of playing Football Manager, you probably won't want to see this ever again, as in I always decline them and skip them. So it's just up to you. Then we hit move on, and then we can go through this. We currently do not have a set piece coach. I'd recommend to hire this person as a set piece coach because the team needs a set piece expertise. As you can see, he has 18 set pieces currently at Aston Villa. So basically, we're gonna go there and take their set piece coach, essentially. So like it's saying, we can schedule this for after meeting to go have a little conversation with him. We should give strong consideration to hiring Rodri for the coaching team because he coached attacking football very, very well. So once again, we can look at him. I'm gonna click it. We can see he's got 15 out of 20. So all these attribute numbers, that is for players as well as coaches, scouts, staff, all of that are out of 20, guys. So yeah, we're gonna go, we can schedule that after me and have a butchers at that as well. Now it's saying in terms of our medical team, same thing. So we can see here, head of physio could be better. We could change our head of physio to someone with better head of physio. So we'll do that, schedule that. Once again, another thing, sports scientist development. We consider hiring this fella right here as he's very good at sports science. We can see 19 out of 20, schedule that again. Then we scroll down, we can see we do not have a head of physio, but I believe we just moved this guy to head of physio. So we do not actually need to do that now that we've done that. But if we didn't want to move him, then we could have obviously got that recommendation. Right, then we move on again. And we can see this is the final step now. And it's saying with our coaching team once again, and we can go through this and do the exact same thing if you want to do. If not, we can just hit end meeting. And that is that. Now we get a summary of the meeting, which you actually could have done by hitting move over to summary, and you would have just got this information that you would have been able to read instead of actually going through all of it bit by bit. End the meeting, and that is done. Now, if you want to change the meeting frequency, how often you get this drop down menu here, and you can go every week, every fortnight, every month, and my favorite option, never. So I'm hitting that right now. And spacebar. And then we can do approach to sign to bring in this set piece coach. So I'm gonna hit approach to sign. Now, once again, when you're signing someone, it is going to obviously, for the first time, give you a tutorial and a breakdown explaining exactly what it is. Make sure you are reading the top line and looking at what it's saying in order to help you. Contract type, full-time, obviously. If you're in lower leagues, you might go part-time. The job role you're offering them, make sure you're checking this because you might go find a person that you think is a good set piece coach, but he just wants to be a coach. Or he's a good set piece coach, but he might want to be an assistant manager. So you need to make sure you're looking at that too. And then we go down here and we can see what we currently have. And if we don't have enough, we can interact with our board to actually tell our board that we need more of this type of person. You can give them a secondary job, meaning they'll do multiple jobs at the same time. Obviously, if you're in lower leagues, this would help you. Then we can see the staff roles, the ones they are good at: set piece coach, assistant manager, and scout. So like I'm saying, make sure you're checking that because they might want to be an assistant manager. Then we go over to here, bonus clauses. So if we win the Champions League, he would get 16K for set piece coach. Personally, I would give him the money because it would give him the incentive in my head that if we win the Champions League, you will get money. So perform to the highest ability and you will get more money, which is a great incentive in life. Money is usually a lot of people's incentive. I know it's usually mine. Boy, if you don't... Moving on, and we can see this again, and then boom, we hit finish, and that is it. I'm just gonna offer him whatever because I do not care in the save. You can obviously tweak it, play around with it. He might say no, he might say yes. Right, I'm gonna approach to sign this coach, and I'm gonna play around with it. So I'm gonna go to like 2.5K a week. He's gonna tell me to get the hell up out of his face, and he's gonna say, your opening offer is too far away from my demands for me to consider negotiating to blah, 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 blah. And he's saying he wants this much. Now you can negotiate again and maybe go to an 8K and see what he says. He has said no. He said, I asked you to make an acceptable offer. You failed to do so. I don't see the point in continuing these negotiations. And bang, he does not want to join our club anymore. For at least 2 weeks, he will keep getting this message. He will not want to join. So it usually takes 2 weeks to deal with. And then you can offer this guy the new job role, give him the head physio, give him that, and then approach to sign the sports scientist, and I'm just gonna give him what he wants. And that is it. Now we move over and we're gonna play our friendly in 5 days. So what you can do is you can just go through this and we can keep moving on. We just saw the training schedule. We didn't actually pay attention to that. The only thing I would recommend personally, all I do in training, guys, literally, I'm gonna show you exactly what I do. So we see the primary tactic here. You can obviously put your tactic or whatever tactic you want to use. So the primary tactic, they are focusing on training at the time. Then what I do is after a match, I go to where the rest days are and I tell the boys that we're going to do a match preparation and we're going to do a match review. And as you can see, the match review has no negatives whatsoever. Everything is a positive. So I would go with that. If you look at match practice, it says fatigue slightly increased, injury risk greatly increased, condition greatly reduced, stuff like that. So most of them do have negatives. So when you're looking, if you want to decide to do all of this, personally, I'm not doing that. I only do this, put a match review after every single game. As you can see in the match review, it improves tactical familiarity and team cohesion. And that's all I'm doing in that. Then we just move over. Now we can look at invitation to England trials. So we can see players who obviously played for a club and are trying to find a new club. So in the lower leagues, this usually does help. As Manchester United, I probably don't care about, especially 23-year-olds, 22-year-olds. But you can just hit the scout button and you'll get reports for that. So Steve Brown's gone to go scout that. So we'll have a butchers when that's back. Now we're gonna move over to our code of conduct in our team. You can just let your assistant manager pick this. It's up to you. I just let my assistant deal with this. But you can obviously say if someone misses training, then they're fined half a week's wages. Second time they miss it 1 week, etc., 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 and all of that stuff. Right, hit confirm, move over. Now we're gonna get to a match, hopefully. Now we can see our current monthly loan stats. That's all of that. You can see any promises we have told players, any targets we've given players, and that's it. An injury update, an injury risk update, and then FFP regulations and all of that malarkey. You can have a look at that and view our finances and go through all of that. And now we can see our pre-season report. We can see different teams and different players and all of that and what's going on with Nottingham Forest. We don't care about them. Then we can go with our training squad. So our squad that will be training and coming with us to actually do our pre-season camp, where we are facing these teams and I believe the other teams as well, such as Bayern Munich and all of these lots. So yeah, all those games are upcoming fixtures. And literally you can just go with, you can respond and actually go through it yourself and click all the players you want. Like I'm saying, click this and you can go to under 21s and choose some players in the under 21s if you want to use them potentially and see how good they really are. Or to make your life easier, you can actually go with an auto select and you can include young prospects. So the better young players according to your system manager that you want to include, and that will just sort everything out for you. And then boom, we move over and the friendly is coming up. Now we can see this guy right here, our set piece coach, has decided to join us. He will be leaving Aston Villa, meaning we will have to pay £775,000 as compensation to Villa. Accept that. Move on. And he's joining. He has completed his move. And then we can do the exact same thing for the sports scientist. Accept that. And he will be joining. Now, we then get a match preparation report. And in this, you can see here, it says it is a match focus session. So before the game, before the match, we are actually going to what we wanted to prepare for the match in terms of tactical preparation and set piece preparation. So when we're doing tactical preparation, you can do whatever. Thumbs up always means what your assistant, or sorry, what your coaches think you should be doing based on this game. You might want to change it, you might not want to, depending on who you're playing. It just all depends, guys. And you can go through this on this and that. And then, yes, just continue. Now, you'll kind of get into the flow that certain things are important, certain things are not important. Now, we've just received some bids. We do like to see that. But anyways, we'll have a look and follow everything as it comes. Team selection advice. This is your assistant manager basically telling you who I think should start in this match, in what positions. So you can use suggested. Personally, I'm not doing that until I get into the game, so I'm leaving that alone. Under 21s fixture clash is telling you basically certain of your under 21s players will not be available as they are currently, well, they have a game on the same day or a game before, on the same day. So it clashes, so certain players will not be available. So if you want them to be available, then you need to go to the under 21 squad and then you need to click their name, then you need to move them to the senior squad. That is literally it. Then, or you can just go here and you can see where it says certain players that are available for under 21 squad and you can make them available, or you can change how long they're available for or if they're not available. Right, now we've just got our first transfer offer, and Birmingham have offered us money for Toby Collier, and they have given us a non-negotiable contract. Sorry, a non-negotiable offer, meaning we either have to accept it or reject it. Or we can go down here and hit a stall and wait for the offer later and deal with that later. But we're rejecting that offer because that is not enough money personally. As you can see, it gives us a little transfer value based on the player's age and reputation. So we're just gonna reject that. Now we got Rafa Varane. Now this is an offer from Al Nassr, Cristiano Ronaldo's team. Now we're thinking Varane at 30 years old, Varane in real life is injury prone. We can click him and we can look at his attributes, what he's looking like, how he's been playing, his injury risk, his injury susceptibility and all of that stuff. And we can see his pros and cons, and we can see one of his cons might have problems with injuries, and we can go through all of that. So you might want to sell him, you might not want to sell him. You might want to try and get some more money out of him. So you might want to remove the installments, or you might want to leave it and maybe squeeze it out to 50 mil and see, you know what, if they offer me 50 mil, you could have him. Suggest it just to see. And as you can see, they've accepted it now. They're happy with that. Now it depends on you. You can accept it or reject it. It's up to you. We're just going to hit the accept offer because why not? And we'll see if Varane decides to join them and agrees a new deal with them. Right, we move on and we go through this, saying what matches will be shown on television throughout the season. Our head physio signed a new deal, obviously. And then this shows you people's training performances. So you can see who's done well in training. And this, sometimes you might want to base your lineup on who's played well in training and who hasn't. It's up to you guys. Right, we move on to the match. So I want to show you guys exactly how it is to start a match. Right, and then you do actually get a recruitment meeting. So a recruitment meeting basically telling you, well, we're going to open it and see. We're going to attend the meeting. It basically tells you what you have, what your positions are, what your star ratings look like, what your roles and all of that stuff look like. And it's just up to you whether or not you want to look for new players in that. So you can go through all of this and go through all your positions. You can see how many players you have that can play each position. So right back, we've only got two. We've got Dalot and Wan-Bissaka. So imagine they get injured. Those are the only two players that can really play right back. Then left back, Malasha can play there, but he's injured. Dalot can play there, Lissandro can play there, and Luke Shaw can play there. DMs, we've got a few DMs that can play there. Number 10s, a few again. Right wingers, a few again. Left wingers, same, and strikers. Obviously, there are players that are repeated throughout. If you don't want a player to be in there, then obviously you can just remove like Rashford. I'll never play him at striker, so I'll just remove him from striker. But on left wing, he will still be there. Right wing, he is not there for some reason. But then let's say Bruno right wing, you will never play Bruno there personally. So then you can move him out of there and so forth and so forth and so forth. Left wing, you might not ever play Mount there. You can remove that and all of that. Next, obviously, if you want to look for a new player for that role, you can also see the depth of how many players you've got in each role. Right back, only 2, and the roles they are currently in. Then you can create a new focus in scouting to actually find a player for that role. So you go through that. We're not going to do that in this video. And then we go to skip to expiring contracts. We can see what players are expiring in the senior team, under 21s and the under 18s. And then if you want to deal with a new deal for them, then we can speak to them. And this is the staff recommendation and staff advice on if the player's worth it or not. We move on to this part here, and we can see players status, players that we've given, what they've given them for match time, players we've listed out to be sold, how much you've listed them to be sold, and if we have any transfer activity. And as you see, it's Varane and Collier, and we've obviously rejected Collier's. Varane, we're waiting on him to accept it. Recruitment focuses that we obviously have started with. Now we have, these are the active ones we already have, and these are the suggestions from the staff. So basically what they're saying is we should be looking for players to meet the club's objectives, signing players under 23 if you remember. We'll apply for that one. Same thing with this one, look for players to meet the club's objective, under 23s again, 15 to 22. And then obviously a right back, as we said, probably our weakest position. They also agree it's our weakest position, so we might want to do that as well. Now we have 10 recruitment focuses. These are the 3 that are added. So we will be looking at those. If you want to go see those, we end our meeting. We go over to scouting and we go over to recruitment focuses, and they're all here. And all we got to do is click here and certain players will pop up in the recruitment focuses. But the one we just made, the under 20, whatever ones, we can see Dedic has popped up with a high recommendation from our scouting team. You can see some of his pros and cons. If you want to see more, then we've got extensive knowledge of him, so we can see all of his stuff. If we do not have extensive knowledge, I think we will have extensive for all these players, because they were probably players already being scouted. So yeah, if we do not have extensive knowledge, let me just find another player for the example. We will not see anything. So as you can see, the attributes are not shown. So that is at the beginning when you click attributes, show attributes, or hide attributes. So you might want to click it so you can see everything straight away. But if not, all you got to do is scout the player, and then in a week or so, you'll see some more information. And if you want to get some more information, then you need to scout again to get the overall report and cons and that. Anyways, moving on, we get to a game. Now the press are talking to us about Varane. You can go into the presser and tell them, listen, I'm willing to listen to any offer for him. This might be a good thing because it goes out to the press. Teams might come and offer money for you. Or he might be annoyed at you saying, why are you trying to sell me? In this case, he's not annoyed, otherwise he would have popped up saying that Varane wants to talk to you, mate. Moving on to the fitness test, it tells us what players are clearly not fit, and they are saying that you should not be playing Anthony Martial. But like they're saying here, the medical advised this, but you are free to disregard this advice if you want. Move over to the fixtures. These are the fixtures happening on the same day. Team selection, and then boom, you get a tutorial again before kickoff. You go through this and it can tell you right here, you can decide whether the changes you make to your tactic are applied for this match only or future games. So once you tweak your tactic or change your tactic, that will literally be your tactic changed. You won't be able to go back. There's no back button, undo, none of that. If you make any changes, it will always be like this. You will not be able to go back quickly. You will have to manually change it yourself and remember what you've changed. If you click next match only, that means for this specific match, for example, you're playing a Manchester City, you might not want to go with a high pressing tactic. So what you'll do is you'll change and be more defensive in terms of mentality or in terms of player roles. You might want to overload the midfield, or you want to get down, maybe they play a narrow formation, so you want to have wingers. So you might want to focus play down the left and right, and instead of focusing through the middle, as you can see here. So you might want to change these guys to wingers. There's so many things you can do, but you might only want to do it for the next match. So you click next match only, then you're able to play with everything quickly before you go into your game. Then boom, you just obviously go to submit your team when you're done with that. And this is the current team they're saying, based on players that are available to us. A lot of players are currently on holiday in the Euros and all of that stuff, so we cannot choose everyone, but this is our team. And then we just go to submit team and get into the match. They're saying Varane will be the captain. Now, your tactical decisions will always give a reaction from the squad. So you can see what the squad are saying about your tactical selection. You go next and then boom. So we can see right here, one other positive reaction. Anthony was happy with the team instructions, and team instructions, once again, some other players were happy. Go to the match, and the match is loading up, guys. Now, obviously, they give you your assistant manager tells you that there's some players might be dangerous, so you might not want to press this player. They give you different instructions depending on anything. If you want to do it yourself, you can say, I saw it, or you can go do it, as in telling them to do it straight away, or you can hit ignore and say, nah, I don't care, I don't want that, bro. Or you can literally tell them, I will always ignore. So going forward, I don't care what my assistant manager says, I'm ignoring it. But if you're starting the game off, it wouldn't harm you to listen to your assistant manager because he's trying to help. Moving to the game right now, and as you can see, this is your last chance to let your players know what you expect of them from today's match. And that is it. You give them a little gesture. Choosing the right combination of words and using appropriate gestures can have a big impact on how your players feel and make sure how confident in your choices. Then you can also say, as you can see here, your assistant manager's recommendation. As you can see right here, you can speak directly to players, or you can speak directly to midfielders. So you can say to your midfielders, point the finger at them, whatever, outstretched arms. You can go to your midfielders, point the finger and say, listen, go out there and give me a reason to pick you when the season starts. Certain players are happy about that. Martial on the wing and Amrabat, certain players are not. Attackers, I can say, or just talk to my striker and say, listen, mate, no pressure on you today, young boy George. No pressure, lads, stay composed. Match review. And you're finally in your first game of Football Manager. It took a while, guys. But once you're in there, you kind of get into the swing of things and you know exactly how you are doing this. Some of these players are obviously not in my save. I don't have their faces. And then boom, you get to this point. Once again, you get a tutorial explaining exactly what's going on here. Now you can actually go into your starting 11 and you can tell them, or you can substitute them, give them some shouts and swap players' roles to different roles, and even give them certain instructions. Like you might want to tell your fullback to stay wide because there's space out wide, so stay wider. You might want to tell your winger to sit narrower because you don't really need to occupy the width. Stay narrow, close to the number 10, and let the fullback bomb on. Then we can obviously see our team instructions and our mentality. So we can obviously go back to our tactics board here. We can shout out our players, so communicating to them. I believe that's every 10 minutes you can communicate to them. So that is really it. And then there's just more detail throughout the screens, and then obviously our camera angles and stuff like that, and highlights. Now guys, let me show you something ever so quickly. If you're gonna pause the game, you pause the game here. So before the game starts, when you are first starting off Football Manager with a tactic, what I recommend, guys, this is what I used to do all the time before I kind of understood player roles and this kind of things. What I would do is I would obviously go with comprehensive highlights. I'm not going with a full match because that is long. I want to go with comprehensive highlights so I can see the type of mistakes my players might be making. I can see a lot more highlights so I can gather a whole picture of how the tactic is working. Maybe I can see my player doing certain things like Bruno Fernandes in the number 10. I might not see him making runs I want him to make, or my winger not making runs when I can see the run. So maybe at that point, I would actually change the player's role and maybe tell them in certain instances, get further forward and all these kind of things. Anyways, these are my exact settings. I do not change them. I always go with director. I go with the zoom and all of that. I leave the sounds off. I leave the music on because Champions League and that kind of stuff, and Europa League and all of that. You can leave the sounds on just for immersion and all of that. Then we go over to match speed during highlights. I click it up twice. So this is medium. I click once and then I click twice. That's always how I have mine. Match speed during the text highlights all the way to the top. Match speed during highlights all the way to the top. But obviously if you're new to the game, you might want to turn it down so you get a breather and kind of understand what's going on before moving too quickly through the game. Then you can turn on replays for certain instances like goals, disallowed goals, missed penalties, clear-cut chances, and all of that. It just depends what you want. If you want to see a replay of that, tight offside, goal line technology, all of that, I just leave it how it is. And my replay camera stays on director as well. And that is literally it for me. Then you go into the game and your game's ready to go. You're playing your first Football Manager game, and this is what it looks like. Very simple. Like I said, you might see something that you don't like. Think, okay, this looks nice, decent. Down the line, maybe you wanted Anthony to be there instead of narrow. Then it's like, okay, cool, Anthony. Obviously, that's our first time, so maybe you don't want to tweak it. You maybe don't want to change anything because it's your first highlight. But as you can see, you click tactics and then you begin to tweak. Once again, you then also get a tutorial that explains everything. And you can obviously sub players on and off quickly by just dragging them, or you can open this tactics screen. You can only get this tactics screen if you use my skin. I told you guys how to do it at the beginning of the video. And then obviously you just go through it and move players out and take players in, take players out. Then certain roles, you might want to change them and say, okay, no, in fact, I want you to be a winger on attack, Anthony. I want you to basically stay wide. Don't be too narrow. You know what I mean? Tell him to do that. And you might want to tell him, like I'm saying, you can see instructions. You click Anthony, you go to instructions directly for Anthony. Run wide of the ball. Do not cut in. Go wider. And you might want to tell him pass directness, put that up. When you're crossing the ball as well, mate, put it in the center of the box or put it near post or aim for the target forward. But honestly, guys, everything gives you an explanation. All you have to do is hover over it and you'll get an explanation explaining what to do. And that is really Football Manager down to a T. And that's how you're going to get into the game straight away and you're going to get to the point where you're at least playing games, guys. Yes, people, and that has been the guide to starting Football Manager. Listen, I hope it helps you guys and you're on your way in your journey to winning the biggest trophy you can and enjoying this game as much as I do. Make sure you leave a like, make sure you comment, and make sure you subscribe. We're on the road to 20,000. And if you're someone who's played Football Manager for a long time, then leave a helpful tip in the comments for someone who's new to the game. But make sure you're checking out this video right here where I show you guys how I find some of the best wonder kids in Football Manager with various different methods. It's a great video. I'll see you guys over on the Twitch.